Salutations, adventurers, and welcome to Caddy's Adventure Diary. My name is Caddy. I have lived in Southern California my entire life, and I've been going to theme parks ever since I was 6 weeks old. No joke, my parents brought me to the happiest place on earth before I could even walk. Ever since that very first trip, I grew up with Disneyland as my playground, and a love of theme parks was born. As I kept visiting theme parks, I started wanting to learn more and more about how these rides and shows worked. My parents gave me all sorts of books on the parks and the creators behind them. When I first got access to the internet, I spent hours obsessively reading over websites that broke down the little-known facts about rides and attractions at Disney parks. And when I started using YouTube, I watched non-stop videos on various theme park rides and shows from all over the world. My scope had broadened beyond what I initially saw at Disneyland, now including places like Universal Studios, Knott's Berry Farm, Legoland, and so much more. Around the same time, I started growing an interest even more in understanding how things worked. I had always loved trains my entire life, but I wasn't satisfied with simply seeing an engine that looked like Thomas the Tank Engine. I wanted to understand every mechanical detail on how these trains moved, pulled carriages, and functioned. Shows like Mythbusters and James May's Toy Stories encouraged me to look at mundane things and find a creative way to look at them. In many ways, I started learning like an Imagineer from people beyond Imagineering. However, at the same time, I started learning some things that were not so great about myself. Fireworks shows always looked spectacular, but the sounds of explosions became so overwhelming that I needed to cover my ears. For the first few months I rode the Indiana Jones adventure, I kept my eyes closed and tried not to hear too many sounds for most of the ride. And of course, the massive crowds would cause me to feel so closed in that I had to find places to escape and take a breath. I didn't fully understand what was going on, and then in the 7th grade, I went through testing at my school and got diagnosed with ASD, or Autism Spectrum Disorder. What this meant to me on my own terms was that I would have a decent time learning new information, but when it came to socialization and interacting with other people or the environment, I could be easily overwhelmed or struggle more on how to handle these situations. So how did I get here to where I'm talking about this stuff on YouTube? Honestly, I was lucky. As I grew up, I met incredible people who encouraged me to keep calm and look for solutions. My parents and family supported me and what I wanted to do in life, even if at times it was a bit silly. And I had magnificent teachers who gave me opportunities to show what this autistic kid could do. In many ways, I started taking risks, but I needed the push from people who supported me the most in my life. And of course, I found a safe place to take risks: theme parks. There I could try new foods, experience different viewpoints, meet interesting people, and take part in high-speed thrills. All this time, I had the comfort of my seat as a rider or guest, meaning that I could take risks in a pretend environment that would then encourage me to try bigger things in the real world. Theme parks were to me, as a physicist, the ultimate testing grounds, a perfectly contained area to try new things and know that I was safe the whole time I went. Then, once I walked out the gates, I could take what I learned from my day and reapply those new socialization and risk-taking skills to the real world. Before I started the channel, I was at a weird place in my life. I was already about a year and a half out of college with a degree in applied physics, no steady job, and having a hard time figuring out where I wanted to go next. By this time I had an idea of what I wanted to do: become an Imagineer to combine both my scientific and creative side to make something that makes people smile. But I didn't really have much to show in what I was doing. Combined with the fact that it was a rough year for finding work or trying too many new things, I was not doing so well on my front. Thanks to some encouragement from my parents and family, I was able to remember something that I learned from the movie Robots: see a need, fill a need. While my own goals were deeply rooted in engineering, I also thought more and more about my place in the autism community. And something I realized was that I could help show my own perspective on living on the spectrum through the lens of my own special interest: theme parks. So what do I mean by calling this Caddy's Adventure Diary? What is an adventure? Well, an adventure in many ways is understanding yourself. It's about learning your superpowers, figuring out where you want to go, and embracing the journey to get there. And most importantly, an adventure is sometimes best had with others. By showing my own adventures, as well as showing what I have learned through engineering, physics, and experience, I want to create a tool for people watching to become their own adventure guides, now willing to try something new off of what they have learned. This channel is for not just neurodivergent people, but for any allies who wish to show their support for the neurodivergent and disabled people in their lives. Besides enjoying a vacation at a theme park, I want to encourage other people to learn how to take risks in order to make the next step they need in their own personal adventures. Before I close off, I want to share with you all something to help give you a bit more of an idea. As I've been looking towards the next chapter in my own adventure, I need to find a way to show people a bit more of who I am. But sometimes putting the words on paper doesn't always work out. So with the help and support of my family and teachers, I use video making to show a sort of resume of my work. Hopefully, by watching this video resume, you too can find a way to tell your own story to others beyond yourself. My name is Kieran Aguirre Stanton. I have lived my entire life in Southern California. Despite staying in one place for so long, I have led an interesting life filled with education, interesting people, travel, and adventure. I have a deep appreciation for details and how things work. I like to take my time to pursue and study anything from how a simple monitor works to the chain link for a roller coaster. Oh, and I'm autistic, which probably explains this attention to detail. I started working in chemical physics labs when I was 15 years old. While still in high school, I was asked to join a university research team. By 16 years old, at that same university, I gave my first summer research lectures on photochemistry and spectroscopy. By 19, I went on to give lectures on cosmology as well. In 2019, I published a paper for Concordia University's academic showcase on the anthropic cosmological principle. In 2021, I graduated from the University of California, Irvine with a bachelor's degree in applied physics. One of the coolest things I did during college was to teach annual science summer camps on subjects ranging from aerodynamics and spectroscopy to special relativity. I started at UC Irvine right when the pandemic shut everything down. All of my classes became online and remote. So, in order to be able to do all my lab work, I built my own lab right here in the garage. My garage lab is awesome. For my experiments, I've created oscilloscopes, electronic compasses, LED controllers, and even a remote-controlled car. Mythbusters, eat your heart out. These projects have sparked a continued interest in me learning more about machine programming, circuitry, and soldering, as well as how to make machines work and to be useful, especially in ways that make people smile. Of course, growing up with Disneyland as my backyard playground all my life instills me a love of going to the parks. As I've grown up, I've become interested in the philosophies and histories behind the attractions that WDI and the Imagineers had created. I realized the beauty behind the parks was the amazing attention to detail on everything. I've always been particularly interested in things that most people just walk by, like the tracking and relay systems on rides like Indiana Jones. These systems use hidden checkpoints along the track to make sure that the vehicles are hitting their mark and that the guests never stop moving unless it's part of the experience. Disney Imagineers really took their time to get those types of systems just right. And most people don't even know they exist. To me, it's those systems that really makes a Disney experience great. I've learned a lot about the history, philosophy, engineering, and mechanics behind theme park rides, because I want to be a part of that team that makes the next great thing in that Disney way. I get that I'm a bit quirky, but I also have much to contribute to a creative problem-solving team. In my experience, being different is a superpower that allows me to see things from a unique point of view. And now I am finally starting to get my unique voice out there with a little side project I call Caddy's Adventure Diary, a website and blog for people on the autism spectrum to help them best enjoy a day out at a theme park. This venture is tricky for me, as it requires me to know more about filming, writing, videos, social media, and socializing with others. Stuff that doesn't come easy to me. But I see it all as worthwhile, because someday I might be that one voice that a person on the spectrum needs in order to take that risk and have the best day of their lives. I spend a lot of time learning absolutely everything that I can about coding and machine learning. I'm great at coding. I pretty much code every day. Since college, I've completed 10 coding certificates ranging from JavaScript, Ruby, and Python to SQL and machine learning. I'm currently working on several others. I'm also pretty good at French and Japanese. I am also taking independent lessons with a professional engineer to learn AutoCAD and SolidWorks. By hiring me, you are hiring a diligent, organized hard worker who is eager to learn and work with you and your team. With good communication and clear instructions, I can meet the challenges and goals needed to make your project a success. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I look forward to meeting you shortly. And until the next adventure, remember, when you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. Farewell!